Morning all, I'm out today doing a quick walk from Alwinton up through Kidland Forest, taking a couple of summits outside of Kidland Forest, probably Wether, Cairn, Cushat Low and Bloodybush Edge. The forecast is a bit rubbish for this afternoon, but it's really nice now, so hopefully it'll stay this way. I did this exact same route last week. It was horrendous weather. It was horizontal rain, sleet and snow, and due to a combination of numb, wet fingers and torrential rain, I managed to delete all of the footage. So I thought I'd come and try it again today. So we'll see how it goes. Just give you a quick look around. Just left Clennell Street from Alwinton. Looking over in that direction is Simonside Ridge. I think that hill there is called Silverton Hill, and just below there is the remains of the site of an old fort. I'm heading up to the summit here to Wether Cairn. I think that's Cushat Low or Bloodybush Edge there, one of the two. We'll see when we get there. And in the background you can see the remnants of the snow from last weekend, looking towards the kind of Cheviot kind of area. Plan is to head down this track, follow the course of the river Alwyn through Kidland Forest, and then turn off and head up to the top of the forest where and get out onto the hills. Don't know if you can make it out in the camera, but that place over there is called Kidland Lee. The forest has been felled significantly over the last few years, but it's been replanted already, and it's coming on really well. And what's nice to see, they've put a lot of deciduous trees around the edges of the forest, so it's going to look nice in a few years' time. You can see here where the spruce trees have been harvested and they've planted all of the new deciduous trees. If you've ever wondered why when they do the harvesting they leave the odd tree standing here and there, it's just for birds of prey, to give them somewhere to perch and I guess hunt from. So it's nice that the forestry people do that. There's a classic example of the old crop and the new crop growing in between the old stumps. Might seem barbaric to some people, but at the end of the day these trees are just a crop, the same as wheat, barley, etc. These are some of those newly planted deciduous trees. I haven't got a clue what they are. Probably beech or birch, something like that. Just leaving the river Alwyn now and heading up the east side of Kidland Forest, following what I think is called York Burn. This is one of the new bridges they put in for the harvesting operation. I guess to make life easier for themselves and the vehicles. Just passing this tree here, it was planted 2 years ago. Commemorate 100 years of forestry. Not sure if I'll be around to see it reach maturity, but you never know. There's some lamb having its breakfast, but it was until I scared it off. Just passing an old derelict sheepfold. About to turn off this track up in the direction of Millcope towards the top edge of the forest. Just passing a place called Millcope. I came up here with a bunch of people a few years ago and helped rebuild that dry stone wall there. Still looking good, so I guess I must have done a half decent job. Just gonna head up this track here, eventually out of the forest, probably onto Wether Cairn. See what it's like when we get there. That's me, just came out from the top of Kidland Forest. There's a track down there. I looked on the map before and there's the remains of an old church there. It seems a strange place to have a church, but who knows what went on in the past. It's called Kirk. I'm roasting hot walking up this hill. Came out dressed for winter after last week, but it's 11 degrees. Just shows that you've got to prepare, because I think once you get out on the tops there, it'll still be a lot colder. Perfect table and chair there for lunch. Even got a nice view. I think it's a little bit early yet, so I'll carry on a bit further. I've reached the top of the forest now, just about to head out onto the fells. It's a bit early, but there's going to be no more shelter for a good 2-3 hours or something, so I think I'm going to stop and have lunch here. It's a nice sheltered spot in the last of the trees, decent view, so I'll stop and have lunch here and carry on to hopefully Wether Cairn. Just having one of these Wayfarer backpacking meals, all day breakfast. It sounds horrible, but you never know, might be okay. It says you've got to take it out of the packet, but I'm just going to boil it in the water in the packet. See how it goes. Just starting to get a bit windy now, but still not too cold, nothing compared to last week. I'll have lunch, and I think it's going to rain later on, so it's probably best to have it now while it's still dry. Very nice spot for lunch anyway. That's boiling away nicely now, so I'll just leave it for a couple of minutes to get nice and hot. I'll use the water afterwards to make it. I brought some mocha sachets, so I'll use the water for that. Not sure if the camera's picking it up, but there's a cuckoo in the trees behind somewhere. Reboil a bit of water, and I'll have a couple of these Starbucks. my spot for lunch, sheltered of that tree. As always, bring a bag for your rubbish. Take it home with you. If you can carry it up, you can carry it down. And of course, don't have fires, because if you look at this stuff, it's just like tinder. There's too many campers and walkers giving people a bad name at the minute by leaving a mess and having fires, etc. So take your rubbish home, leave no trace. That's where we just arrived at Wether Cairn. Quite a trek up that hill, to be honest. Just in the background there is the Simonside Bridge. Over there you've got Hedgehope there. Cheviot there with a bit of snow on from last week, and Cushat where I'm heading to next. I think over there is Cunyon Crags. I think that's Cunyon Crags there. This is Wether Cairn. Not a great deal to write home about, to be honest, but there's nice views across Cheviot, Simonsides, etc. So worth the trip up if you ever up this way. Just going to follow this really boggy track now down to Cushat and Bloodybush Edge, then back down into Kidland Forest, and then it's kind of a straight run back to Alwinton from there. So bits of blue sky about, so here's hoping we'll get no rain. This is one of those grouse, I don't know, it's a feeding station or what, some kind of grit they put in there. Don't know the purpose of it, but that's what that's for anyway. This track is just so swampy. It must have been from all of the rain last weekend and during the week. Definitely a route for boots and gaiters. No trainers up here. This is one of the real bummers of walking from summit to summit. You just reach the summit of one hill and then you've got to go right back down at the bottom to start again climbing up the next hill. It's Cushat Low. You can actually see out to the North Sea there. I think those wind turbines are probably Blythe. I think that's where they are. Eventually at the summit of Cushat Low. It's a bit windy up here, but still quite warm. Wind chills probably about 7 or 8 or something like that. Get a nice view of Cheviot up here, but other than that there's not a great deal here. If I was giving it a review on TripAdvisor, I don't think it would be particularly high, but still worth a visit if you're coming up to the Cheviot Hills. It's just following this pretty rough track now across to Bloodybush Edge. That's up on there in the centre with the brown heather on the side. That's Kidland Forest on the left hand side there, where I'll be dropping back into after I've been at the summit of Bloodybush Edge. Still the remains of snow there on Cheviot from the storms last weekend. Still climbing Bloodybush Edge. It's one of those hills where you think you're never going to reach the top, but I don't think it's too far away now. reached the summit of Bloodybush Edge. It seemed to take a lot longer than normal. It was tougher than normal as well, actually. I think it was because it was so muddy after all of last week's rain. But here eventually. I head down now into Kidland Forest, and it's pretty much plain sailing all the way back to Alwinton. But it's been a decent trip out. There's Windy Gyle across there. The Shirl, Black Hag, Cheviot, Hedgehope, and Cushat. That's me come down from Bloodybush Edge, just about to go back into Kidland Forest. If I had taken that track on the right there, I'd end up going down to Uswayford and into the forest where you can go to Davidson's Lane waterfall. That's the route you would take if you're doing the long route on the Alwinton Round Challenge Walk. Just head across here. It's a little bit rough ground into the forest, and it's all forest tracks all of the way back. I'm back on the forest track now, the top end of Kidland Forest. Just passing all these trees that have been blown over by the wind. Some have had the tops snapped off. It's suddenly gone really windy, so you probably can't hear me. Just down there across the valley, that place is called Whiteburn Shank. I normally walk past there when I'm coming through Kidland Forest. Horrible little hill it is, really short and steep. At least I'm not going up it today. I'm heading in the right direction here, downhill. Just leaving Kidland Forest eventually. That's the point up there where I went into Kidland Forest this morning to head up to Millcope. Now I'm just going to follow the track back down, same way as I came this morning. Follow the River Alwyn back to Alwinton. I may even call into the Rose and Thistle for a pint. This is the final hill of the day. It's up here across the side of the fell, back onto Clennell Street, down to the car park in Alwinton. Pleased to say, although the forecast said it was going to rain this afternoon, there hasn't been one drop of rain all day. Huge change from last week. Just about at the top of the final hill now. Just looking back up the valley of the River Alwyn. That horizon there, that far horizon, is Bloodybush Edge, where I've been today. Looks a long way off from here. I've done 15 miles now, it's probably about maybe half a mile, 3/4 of a mile back to the car. And just over there, about me hidden by a shower, is Cheviot. Last time we'll see that today. Well, that's me finished for today. It's been a perfect day weather-wise. Much better than last weekend. I've done about 16 miles, so I'm heading down to the Rose and Thistle in Alwinton for a well-deserved pint, and then I'm going to head off home. So see you all next time.